Can I tell you a secret? Even though I occasionally make videos about nice keyboards, I'm not really a big keyboard nerd. I just know what I like. And these 3 keyboards gave me a number of things I really like, each of them in slightly different ways. Let me explain. Do you want to know something crazy? It turns out that every 1/10 of a second on Earth, a spacebar is hit 600,000 times. So if you're watching this while you're typing, when you hit your spacebar, you're doing it at exactly the same time as 599,999 people worldwide. Yep, you're not alone, kids. In this video, we're going to look at 3 keyboards which all give an exceptional typing experience, all in slightly different ways. These 3 keyboards are all from a brand called Keydous, who are not sponsoring this video, but did agree to send me these to test out free of charge. Just want to be upfront about that. That doesn't influence anything I'm going to say, by the way, but yeah, I've been pleasantly surprised here. Now in this video, I'm going to run through each keyboard, show you some features, and you'll get a sound test too, so you can hear what they're like to use. But before we get into any of that, we need to talk about what an exceptional typing experience actually means. Obviously, this is going to be pretty subjective, as the whole crazy minefield of the mechanical keyboard hobby is because most people are very particular over what they like and how they like their keyboards to be set up. That being said, recently I've grown to really enjoy typing on full-size keyboards, and by that I mean these chunky boys here, rather than the low profile or super slim ones that are out there. And for me, an exceptional typing experience is about one thing: joy. I tend to think about this along the same principles as spending a decent amount of money on a mattress. Even though you don't notice it most of the time, if you spend one night on a bad mattress, you know about it straight away. I reckon that typing on a good mechanical keyboard should give you a feeling that you just can't wait to come back to it. Now, we spend so much of our lives on these things, and it's just too short to waste that time on the kind of horrible, cheap, scratchy plastic office keyboards that we all grew up with. If we're going to get really specific, I like deep, pebble-like sounds and heavy sound dampening from my keyboards, and I've moved away from tactile bumpy switches to faster linear options. I've tested out hundreds of these over the last few years, which is why when I took a look at these 3, I found a few surprises. The first keyboard we're going to look at is the NJ87, and as the name would suggest, it's a 98 key option. That basically means you get all the keys you'd normally get on a 100% full-size keyboard, but without home or end. This one comes in a wide selection of color options, but I really like the contrast of this dark white case, and in particular I love the look of these gradient blank keycaps with all the legends and RGB lights set up to be south facing. This one is the only one of the 3 that comes with this little customizable screen which you can use to show the time, battery, connection, caps and numlock, and also your favorite image or GIF to keep you entertained when you're using it. You can also use it as a teeny weeny calculator, which is a kind of a mad idea, but it's also quite fun. If you keep the RGBs and the screen on, you can expect this to last around 29 hours before needing a charge, but in power saving mode, this will give you 800 hours of use on a single charge. Not bad. There's also a knob for, you know, people who like to do things with their knobs. These are PBT keycaps and everything's hot swappable too, so if you want to customize how this feels to type on, you are all good. Now, this isn't VIA QMK compatible, but Keydous do supply their own software which lets you easily remap keys or mess about with the lighting effects. There are 16 different lighting effects out of the box, so that should be fine for most people if you like that sort of thing, but yeah, you can tweak these if you want to. And one thing I haven't gone into here is how this might function as a gaming keyboard, and to be honest, I didn't feel that I could because I'm not that kind of gamer, but I do know that there is a variation of this one which has special rapid magnetic trigger options that also allow you to adjust the actuation range of the switches to help give you a bit of an edge in certain games. Really cool. You can choose between different plate types. You can have steel for a louder sound to annoy your office buddies, or brass for a deeper, heavier sound, and yeah, you know which one I'm going to choose, don't you? Here's the typing test, and for me, this is the lightest and creamiest sound of all 3, but see what you think. I put my exact spec on screen for you, along with some other specs that you might care about to have a look at while you're listening. Next, we have the NJ87 Pro. Again, there's a variety of aesthetic options, but I personally like the two shadow themes. Mine is in the shadow grey. And you might be thinking, what's pro about this compared to the first one that we looked at? Well, this one comes with its own suspension kit. Kind of. In the NJ87 Pro, you've got 3 layers of premium dampening materials in a gasket structure, which subdues a lot of the noise, and even if you're a heavy typer, it'll absorb a lot of the weight of your key presses. And to add to that, it also has a movable weight block to minimize vibrations between the keyboard and your desk. Cheaper keyboards tend to sound quite hollow and quite rattly, and as we'll see, this is not the case with this one. Again, we've got lots of customization available when it comes to swapping out the switches and the lights too, plus this one has a side light to cast a nice little light onto your desk if, like me, you're a bit of a night owl. Here's a little sound test so you can check out the effect of all that pro dampening. Finally, here's the smallest and my personal favourite of the 3, the NJ80. And once again, there's a few different colour options to choose from. I was torn between this calming green number and the one that I eventually went for, which is called Blue Samurai. This one comes in a more compact 75% exploded layout, but it does feature the knob, like the first keyboard we looked at. By the way, this works as a volume dial out of the box, but you can customise it using their software to do all sorts. You can also use the software to adjust the RGB settings from a selection of 16.8 million colours, and it comes with those 16 preset lighting modes on out of the box. With this one, you do get some foam dampening, though not quite as much as the Pro keyboard. And I decided to balance that out with the brass plate and the silent switches. Obviously, they're not entirely silent, but I'm a big fan of these. Here's how they sound. Probably the most surprising thing about all of these keyboards is that they all come in a shade under $160, and I think for this kind of quality, that's really hard to argue with, and particularly if you're not interested in getting your hands dirty with different modifications and such, they're pretty much good to go out of the box. The only downsides I could find with these was that only some of the colour options support Mac layout keycaps, just watch out for that, and also that some of them don't feature any way of elevating the keyboard's height. Some people will also be bothered that VIA isn't supported supported for customizing your layout, but based on my testing, the inbuilt software works just fine and it's really intuitive to use. Certainly on the Mac version that I tried. Other than that, as joyful typing experiences go, which is what this review is all about, these are some of the all-time best I've tested. Now, I know there'll be all kinds of things that I've forgotten to mention here for keyboard nerds, such as the mounting type and lubing and all that kind of stuff, but if you've got any questions, drop them in the comments and I'll be here to help. I've also linked them all below if you want to go check out the spec sheets for yourself. And even if you haven't got a question, I'm really interested to know, what does an exceptional typing experience feel like for you? My challenge is, can you describe it in one sentence? Now, if you're not into these full-size chunky keyboards, but you're looking for something a bit more portable, you might want to check out my review of the thinnest mechanical keyboard ever made. It's called the Edge, and it's over here when you're ready. See you next time.